Okay, guys, part three here, this SSR Motorsports 125. And I was going to reassemble this and then get back to you, but I thought of an important thing to tell you at this point is a good time to go ahead and adjust your valves. Adjust your rocker arms, get your lash out, because on the bike it's really hard to do. And also, if you can tell, because of the way they have this set up, this cam, you can't even get your feeler gauge under there. So now's a really good time to do it while you got it all apart. And there's the easiest thing to do. You almost have to use one of these real long, flimsy feeler gauges. Not everybody has one of these. If you don't, the kind with the bent tips is really good for this because you almost have to come in from the side. And what I did is basically, since I was putting it together, this nut, the lock nut, was not tight yet. So you have an adjuster, which is the stem, and then the lock nut. Okay. So basically, if this lock nut was loose, um, loosen up your adjuster way, way loose so the rocker arm is got a lot of slack in it. And then you can get your gauge under it real easy. Then go back to your adjuster again, tighten it down on your gauge, and then snug your lock nut a little bit, and then start your measurement and start setting it. And you just want like a little drag. This has just a little drag on it, and that's what you want. But that's just an easier way to do it before you get it all back on the bike. It makes it so easy. Otherwise, you're trying to get that in there, and if you've ever done it, you know what I'm talking about. So if you're assembling an engine, it's cold, you can go ahead and do it. And the other trick um, on this, and anytime you're setting valve clearance or anything like that, you see that cam lobe down there in the bottom coming up? Okay. So anytime the cam and engine is on top dead center, because right now you're probably saying, well, how can you adjust that, Dragon, if you don't know if your engine's on top dead center because you don't even have an engine, you just have a head. It makes good sense because what you're looking for is the lobe coming up. You want your rocker arm to be on the base circle. So on the flattest part of the cam possible. And right now, I can take this nut on this side of the engine over here, and I'm turning that cam with it. So I can put the lobe right where I need it on the flattest part. So both cylinders right now would be on top dead center, what have you. So that's how you can do that. You can adjust it without knowing. So when you do an engine in the car, both valves are completely closed because you're on the compression stroke, top dead center, whenever you adjust something. And that means the rocker arms are on the base circle of the cam. Now, if it's in a push rod engine, then the lifter will be actually down on the cam at the base circle, and then it has a push rod up to the rocker arm. So that's a whole different scenario. But that's how you can do that. So kind of a long rambling explanation, but I hope that helps you guys understand some things. And I've been bouncing around and talking with my hands and swinging the camera all around, so it's probably been a little blurry, but I think you get the point. So let me finish this up and we'll get on to the next step. Okay, guys, next I'm going to assemble my rings onto my piston, and then I will clean up the gasket surface down here on the engine block. I'll clean that up, get it ready, and then I will install my piston on my rod via that wrist pin there that's hanging out right there. And then I will be installing the cylinder over top of the piston. That's the way we're going to do this. I do that, and then I stick my chain through, and then I got to get my head on and get my cam chain and all that lined up. So I'm going to have to pull that cover off because I don't think they don't have it in, like a Honda or something would have a little inspection hole here that you could take the cap off. You could find your top dead center that way and line it up with your cam mark, and you'll see what I mean when we get there. Okay, so I got to clean all that up. I'm about to start reassembling the engine. The head's done. It's all rebuilt to the quality of parts that we got. So, yep, I'm about ready to start getting this top end assembled. So stay tuned. Okay, guys, got New rings on the piston. And got the piston installed on the rod. I got to put in the circlips. I want to, I'd like to take the old ones off and use them because I think they're a better style than what came with them. This piston does have a direction IN for intake. Kind of hard to see, it's upside down. So the intake is this way and exhaust is down. So got to make sure you get these pistons on right. But anyway, there it is. Rings on the piston, pistons on the rod. I'm going to put the clips in, and then we're going to work on getting a cylinder on here. All right, stay tuned. I guess while I got it running, I'll show you here real quick. I took this side cover off, and when you do, excuse me here, bear with me. Right there's a notch in the case in the center of my fingernail, and right there is a T. And when that line is lined up with that notch, you're at top dead center, and this is what we're going to use to time our cam with the chain. And we'll get to that part. All right, stay tuned. Okay, guys. Well, as you can see, you got to be real careful, pay attention when you're putting stuff together. That gasket fits on there kind of funny. And so it's not coming all the way over and down on this side. And if you see, it's very critical because right behind that is where the oil the oil passage goes. So yeah, I'll show you here in a little bit. But yeah, underneath of there is an oil passage. So what I got to do is I'm going to take it back off, and I have to enlarge a couple holes where the bolts are, the studs, and it'll allow that to move around a little better. And I might have to trim that a little bit, but yeah, it's not a perfect fit. So you kind of gotta, gotta do a little bit of your own engineering sometimes. But yeah, you gotta really watch that. Would have blocked that oil passage off, and that would have been the end of that motor if somebody would have just slapped it together. Figuring everything fit perfect, but it doesn't. Okay, guys, stay tuned. Okay, so basically what I did was brought it up, matched it to the cylinder to see what's going on with this gasket here. And it leaves a little to be desired. Actually, what it is, hold on, let me get it centered again. A little bit better. So what it is, can't get it perfect, but if you notice, they got this hole off in the gasket. There isn't much. See the gasket right there? See the difference here? The area of gasket beside the hole, between the hole and the cylinder, and the area here between that and the cylinder. This hole should have been moved out and up a little bit. So they got that off a little. So yeah, I'm gonna have to punch that hole out a little bit. I don't have my gasket kit here. I'm gonna have to figure something out. Yeah, you can take a gasket maker kit or cutter kit or whatever they call it, and just restamp that hole, and then put a little bit of silicone or gasket sealer in there. But yeah, so you got to watch this kind of stuff. See, they did a good job everywhere else. It lined up. This, I'm going to clean that out a little bit. That's actually the oil passage. One's ascending and one's return. So I believe this is the return, usually bigger return, and pressure ascending. But anyway, so that's what they got here. They got the gasket off a little bit. It kind of really screws me up. It's worse on the engine block than it is the cylinder. The cylinder looks better, like I hope the cylinder fits on. Good, I've got it dry fitted here and check that out. So, all right, stay tuned. Okay, that's not pretty, but it's going to work. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. This is like it's the little cylinder to align, holds the cylinder to the block of the engine as you tighten it. So those cylinders are on the stud. Here's another one on the old cylinder I got to take off. And there's several more on the bike over there. But what I did is they're really sharp, so I took that and I used it to cut out those little slots, elongated them, just put it on a hard surface and used that as my gasket cutter. And it did a really nice job, really sharp, cut them up. But anyway, so yeah, that should work a little better. I may add a little added protection here and there, but that should do the job. So, all right, now back to where we were. I'm going to start getting this together. Okay. Now that's what I'm talking about. That's what we're looking for. Kind of hard to see with the lighting there, but yeah. So we got that gasket cut in the right spot, sealed. And thank goodness I noticed it, took a good look at that. I was on the other side of the bike, so could have easily slid the cylinder down, not even noticed it. So yeah, you go the extra mile. Like I say, good customer here, so I want to take really good care of him and do a nice job for him and make sure that he gets what he's paying for. But other than that, it's like I say, you just got to kind of watch this stuff. So, all right, guys, stay tuned. I think I'm actually going to stop this one here and go for part 4. So I'm almost done, but yeah, I'm getting some time on here. So let's go ahead and stop this one here. And thanks for watching, and go to part 4 for the rest of this SSR 125 top end. Dragon says, peace out.